Campfire question.
You're supposed to do that with your teeth.
Well, might hurt the enamel. Campfire questions, where we answer your questions about life, the universe, and propano.
Or RV camping, whichever.
Propano, which is Espanoli for propane.
You sure about that?
Well,
You might be saying something completely offensive.
I've just offended most of South America. William Watterson asks, do you travel with the propane or propano on to refrigerator to keep food cold? Some people say it is safe, some say not recommended. What is your experience?
Well, I guess the question is, what do we do versus what you're supposed to
Now,
do?
zip those lips, please. The safest thing to do always is to turn your propane off anytime you're traveling or anytime you leave your RV. The end. Bye, I hope you enjoyed the vid.
If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you disliked it, give it a thumbs down. It's my therapy. Det är galsing. My therapy. Right, it's galsing.
Now for the real world.
And now the rest of the story. Got to think about this. What's the real risk? We're talking about risk of fire. Our Airstream has 2 big propane tanks in it, and your RV, whatever it is, probably has 1 or 2 propane tanks in it. There's one main propane line, and branching off that line are 4 other propane lines powering at least 4 different appliances. Your refrigerator, your oven, your furnace, and your water heater.
Oh, sorry.
And your refrigerator again.
Yes. I'm sorry, you said refrigerator.
So, yes. So, okay, think about that. You've got the main propane line, and you've got these other lines branching off of it. What can happen when you're traveling down the highway in your RV? A lot
Disaster.
of things could be disaster. There are lots of mini earthquakes going on. Your appliances are getting rattled and shaken around. Your tires may blow up. It's been known to happen to people. And when your tires blow up, guess what? Some of the underside of your rig might get torn away, including those propane lines that I was talking about. So when that happens, if your propane is turned on, there's an open line, and that propane starts spilling out into your RV, into maybe some of the storage bays, and all it takes is one little spark. I mean, for example, you might be traveling down the highway and you might run over an orange cone, one of those traffic safety cones. And if that happens,
I wonder where that's happened
I'm
before.
just saying, theoretically,
Could happen.
you could be traveling back from Alaska, you could be passing through Whistler in the Vancouver area, and you might happen to run over an orange traffic cone. It could happen.
It could.
And that could do more than just bend the step on your RV. It could tear away a propane line. In our experience, thankfully, that has not happened.
That's right.
But
It
it's
only
certainly
bent our propane line.
well. But propane, thankfully, isn't as easy to ignite as, for example, gasoline. But still, it is a significant risk. And yes, every year we do hear stories of fires involving RV propane. Now, the issue we have in this marriage is my wife is terribly afraid that those eggs are just going to go bad if they're traveling around back there for 4 hours or 5 hours
It's not
with
the
no
eggs, it's the mayonnaise.
Oh, the mayonnaise, my goodness.
Or chicken salad that I've made that I've slaved over.
So you have to ask yourself, what's more important, mayonnaise or death by fire?
What about you wanting your beer to stay cold back
Well,
there?
that's different.
Okay, let's get to what's really the issue.
Shout out to Dometic, because we have a Dometic refrigerator inside our Airstream, and they say that over 6 to 8 hours with no power, you will lose about 4 degrees of temperature inside your refrigerator.
As long as you don't
Say.
open the door.
So you probably have to use some self-restraint If you're turning off your propane and you know that that refrigerator is not going to be receiving any power, we have what is called a two-way refrigerator that can be powered by either propane or AC current. Some of you rich folks out there have three-way refrigerators, and your fridge can be powered off propane, AC, or DC. And so if you can power your refrigerator off DC, then I think you can just run it off your DC batteries as you're traveling down the highway. Must be nice.
Yep.
Some of
must
us
be
don't
nice.
have that luxury.
If you are of the variety of people who do travel with your propane running to your refrigerator to keep your beer and other items cold, you need to be mindful of the chance of going through a tunnel. So if you're going to be going through a tunnel, like if you're in the Northeast and you're going through, you know, any sort of tunnel in like New York or DC or wherever, you have to have your propane turned off. And they have big signs, and sometimes they'll have like a detour route for people that do have propane running, and it'll be for any big truck that's carrying, you know, any sort of explodable item, I suppose. They'll have a detour route that you can take. Or you could stop before you get to the bridge, turn off your propane, and then drive on through. It's up to you.
Another real world factor to consider is what kind of RV you have, because frankly, if you have a travel trailer or fifth wheel, you're not in there with the propane as you're traveling along the highway. And that could certainly have some advantages in the case of a fire or explosion.
Or a leak of some sort.
Right. And if you're in a motorhome, you're riding around with those propane tanks and you're inside that vehicle with them, and I think your risk is even that much higher. And that's why I know that in the real world, there are some people out there who might travel leaving their propane on. I personally think it's possible to do so without having a terrible accident, but you're certainly increasing your odds of having some sort of accident. So our best advice to you would be to turn them off. And yes, you're gonna have to risk your mayonnaise and chicken salad, but if you don't open that refrigerator, I think you should be okay for at least 6 to 8 hours.
Yeah, and this is also where it's helpful to have a temperature gauge inside your fridge, just a little thermometer that you can put in there so you can keep an eye on it, because you really don't want the temperature to go above 40 degrees. Once your temperature goes above 40 degrees, I think that is when foods start going bad, and that's when you risk, you know, food poisoning or that sort of thing.
On that note, I kind of wonder if you shouldn't crank down your refrigerator the night before a big
Yeah, get a little
trip.
extra cold.
Get it extra cold inside if you know it's going to be receiving no power for several hours the next day. Now, I think if you're going beyond like 8 hours with no power to your refrigerator, you are risking your mayonnaise and your chicken salad.
Just remember, if you stop anywhere during the day, you could always turn on your propane and get a little cold air go into it. You know, if you're stopped for a long lunch somewhere in a parking lot, just turn on your propane and give it a little juice while you're inside. There's also a product that you can get, and it's basically almost like a little battery powered fan, and it sort of circulates the air inside the refrigerator to keep the cool air sort of moving about, since there's no circulating cool air that's being pushed in from the refrigerator itself. So I think that will probably help you a little bit too, just to maybe extend the life of the cold air that is in your fridge while you're traveling from point A to point B. So there you have it, the politically correct answer for, do you travel with your propane on to power your refrigerator?
I think in the real world, sometimes people do some things that they shouldn't. Here, we're really talking about best practices.
Yeah, and it's not just turning your fridge off. You need to actually go to the propane tanks and turn them completely off so there's nothing flowing out of them.
So that's going to take you a couple of extra minutes,
Yeah.
turn them off and then turn them back on when you arrive at your destination. I know some people who even turn their propane tanks off when they leave their camper.
I bet these people are real fun at parties.
Well, they're the ones with the warm beer, but
Well, that's true.
probably
They're also
haven't.
alive, and
Yeah.
they're going to be around for a long, long time. So
their RVs aren't on fire.
Well, this is true.
It's a great question, and it's exactly the type of thing we need to be thinking about before we take our RVs out on the road. Springtime is in the air.
Woohoo!
The birds are chirping.
Except for maybe for you poor people in the Northeast. And
Well-
you're still under 3 feet of snow.
Springtime is in the air for some of us. We're all thinking about getting our rigs back out there onto the highway. We need to be thinking about the safety considerations too.
Yes. And just for curiosity's sake, leave us a comment down below and let us know, do you travel with your propane tank on, powering your refrigerator? Or do you turn it off every time? I'd just be curious to see the percentages there. And if you have a question that you would like to see answered here on Campfire Questions, leave it in the comments down below. Put in big bold letters at the beginning of your comment, Campfire Question, so we'll know that that's what you're submitting it
Yeah,
for.
the best way to insult us, to contact us is to post a YouTube comment. I see them all and I screen them before.
Yeah, he doesn't
my
let me
wife-
see all of them. Like,
I
if
don't-
you leave a really nasty comment, I probably haven't seen it because he deletes it first.
I delete them before my wife's delicate eyes ever see them.
Apparently, I
Sorry.
get a lot of insults.
Sorry, trolls. But Patreon is also a great way. We pay special attention to those comments, of course.
Is your refrigerator running?
You better go check
You
it. I
better
think
go
I saw
catch it.
running down the street.
You better go catch it.
Are we in 5th grade all
Yeah,
over again?
well, I'm just saying, it's like a classic joke for like a 5th grader, the prank call.
As always, thank you for tuning in. Thanks again to William. Until next time, what do we say here on Long Long Honeymoon? We say,
Lo,
lo, lo, ho.
Click subscribe.
Subscribe. Hey guys, if you like our videos, a great way to say gracias, senor, is to visit our store on Amazon. You can go directly to amazon.com/shop/longlonghoneymoon, or you can go to longlonghoneymoon.com and click the large supply store icon on the main page. The icon is so large, I don't even need my eyeglasses to see it. In our store, you will find all sorts of cool stuff, including Long Long Honeymoon hoodies, Long Long Honeymoon t-shirts, my hat, my shoes, my old underwear, my self-respect. Everything must go. Proceeds from our Amazon store are reinvested into our show, which requires large amounts of duct tape and lubricant to keep running smoothly. Who let the flies out?